Hi guys, today we'll talk about the Obducite drop from different sources and figure out what is the most profitable. How much drops from which sigils, how much per hour, from Kurast Undercity, from Nightmare Dungeons, and from the Horde. What has changed and by how much? New off here. Let's go through the actual numbers. All measurements are done on T4 and solo. One more important remark, Season 12 is extremely glitchy and bugged, so I am working with what exists at the moment. Another important nuance, starting from Season 12, the cost of Masterworking items at the blacksmith has been radically reduced. This fundamentally changes the evaluation of the amount of Obducite, because previously a full Masterworking required 5,830 Obducite, and now it requires only 500. In other words, looking at the data from my measurements in the table via the link in the description, you should understand that since Masterworking now requires almost 12 times less Obducite, the farming numbers should also drop by roughly the same proportion. So, friends, keep that in mind before drawing conclusions. I will show everything clearly with numbers further on. The first numbers are not entirely intuitive. Masterworking an item 25 times costs from 490 to 560 Obducite. This depends not on the type of item, but on the percentage of the upgrade at each stage. The upgrade percentage during Masterworking ranges from 2 to 5% increase to stats at each stage. There are 25 stages in total, which is why there is a difference in the final cost. Now about the measurements. Where is it most profitable to farm Obducite? First, I ran regular Nightmare Dungeons without the Season 12 bonus. The blue ones with the Strongroom affix, each dungeon all the way to the end. In other words, after getting Obducite from the Strongroom, I continued running the Nightmare Dungeon to the end. On average, this takes 4 minutes, so you can run 15 per hour. The Nightmare Dungeon boss gives about 25 Obducite and sometimes a little bit randomly from elites. This tactic gives 12,500 Obducite per hour. In another session, I ran the same magic sigils with Strongrooms without the Season 12 bonus, but exited immediately after receiving the Obducite from the Strongroom boss chest. These runs last 2.5 minutes, and this tactic gives about 19,200 Obducite per hour. And here is the comparison with previous data. If in Season 9 we received 45,000 per hour, that was enough for full Masterworking of 7.71 items. Now we have 19,500 divided by 500, which equals 39 items. Yes, earlier we hit the same stat 3 times, and on average, one good item required 170,000 Obducite. Now the rules have changed, and re-rolling a greater affix stat obtained during Masterworking costs 200 Obducite per roll. In other words, getting the desired roll into the desired stat is now much easier and faster, tens of times faster. Now, Nightmare Dungeons with Strongrooms and the seasonal bonus. These are the same sigils with a Strongroom but already with blood. How are they different in terms of Obducite? They are not different at all. They give exactly the same amount. If we ignore the Butcher constantly chasing us, then the completion time is the same as without the Butcher. And the Butcher, meaning the seasonal mark on the sigil, does not affect Obducite at all. Therefore, the data from regular sigils and blood sigils does not differ in terms of Obducite. For reference, regular sigils, for example the ones we run to get Forgotten Wisdoms, currently give about 34 Obducite. Of that, 24 comes from the boss. As you can guess, this is not about Obducite. I do not know whether this is a bug or not, and if it is a bug, when it will be fixed. I did not run Empowered Nightmare Dungeons because it makes no sense. I will explain. The amount of Obducite is directly proportional to the number of Strongroom vaults encountered in the dungeon. An Empowered Sigil has 3 floors, and we may either not encounter a single Strongroom there or encounter all 3. Because of this, I will not spend time measuring it this season. The huge spread of values in the Season 9 table will remain as a memory. I will clarify that before the current Season 12, Obducite dropped in all types of Nightmare Dungeons from elites and chests, which accumulated into some noticeable amount. Now nothing drops from elites. Bug or not, I do not know. To make Strongrooms clearer, there are 3 types of Strongrooms. From the sigil bonus itself, from the escalated dungeon floor bonus, and a random one. The escalated Nightmare Dungeon bonus works only on the first floor of that dungeon. After that, the bonuses of the next floor are only the ones listed when moving to the next floor at the portal itself. In addition, on any floor of an escalated Nightmare Dungeon, there may be a Strongroom that appeared there randomly. Only one Strongroom can appear on each floor. Horde. Here everything is not so simple. I will explain. Solo, and I do all measurements solo. The Horde on T4 is very easy, but when you activate a blood compass on T4, you get an increase of 15 pit levels, meaning 1 tier higher. Nominally this is T5 or pit 70. But what actually happens? I run pit 70 without even noticing the mobs, and the boss is also not a problem. My build is for comfortable farming as a reminder. But in the Horde, which nominally is also equal to Pit 70, I cannot do anything. I think I am not the only one. Yes, I know about the bug with plus 45 pit levels if you have cleared Pit 100. If you also want to know more about the Season 12 mechanics, watch the previous video. It is short and to the point. Because of this strange mismatch, I am forced to compare not under equal conditions. In terms of kill speed, these equal conditions correspond to T4 with regular compasses and T2 with blood compasses, even though on paper it should be like T3. Also, because of the reasons described above, it is very difficult to measure the difference between killing the Council or Batuk with opening the 400 ether chest or without it. Why? What else interferes? Now, chaos waves appear not once every 10 waves as before, but from 0 to 3 times, as if there wasn't enough randomness already. Alright, enough complaints, let's move to the numbers. The 400 ether chest drops on average 80 Obducite. The Council does not give Obducite at all. Bartok on T4 drops about 200 Obducite. The ratio between the amount of ether and the Obducite received from the corresponding chest works by the same principle as before. The less ether the player has at the moment of opening the chest, the more Obducite per unit of ether is received. On average, 1 ether gives about 0.3 Obducite. Yes, guys, I do not know how it is for you, but in 5 days I did not get a single compass with 6 waves. That also makes correct calculation difficult. Now T2 with a blood compass. Batuk gives 120 Obducite. The ether to Obducite exchange coefficient is very low, about 0.15 Obducite per ether. In other words, Obducite onto 2 with blood is much lower than onto 4 without blood at the same difficulty of completion. What does that tell us? Correct? Horde is not for Obducite. How much experience each activity gives in the game, I will tell you in the next video, so do not forget to subscribe. Total for a 10-wave run lasting 12.5 minutes. T4 without blood, 1,400 Obducite per hour. T2 with blood, 960 Obducite per hour. Next, Kurast Undercity. A run there lasts 2.5 minutes, even with the current Paragon and gear. A corresponding tribute gives about 340 Obducite per run, which equals 24 runs per hour with focused farming, which equals about 8,000 Obducite per hour. For comparison, previously when this tribute gave 2,000 Obducite, the result was 48,000 Obducite per hour, which meant enough for 8.23 items per hour. Now we have 8,000 Obducite per hour in Kurast, which at the cost of full masterworking of 500 Obducite equals 16 items per hour. This is not 8 times more like in Nightmare Dungeons now, but only 2 times more. Nevertheless, regular ND to the end plus Strong Room is 12,500 Obducite per hour. Regular ND only to the Strong Room boss is 19,200 Obducite per hour. Horde T4 without blood is 1,400. Horde T2 with blood is 960. Kurast Undercity is equal 8,000. Reminder, all the data is in the link in the description. Where things drop, compasses for the Horde drop from Helltide, Nightmare Dungeons, the Pit, Ubers, sometimes anywhere from Elites. Tributes for Kurast drop from Horde. Kurast itself after a goblin from the additional chest gives tributes. The Pit, Ubers, Tree of Whispers caches, Nightmare Dungeons. Sometimes anywhere from Elites. Sigils for Nightmare Dungeons drop from Helltide, the boss of Escalated Dungeons, Tree of Whispers caches. They can also be crafted at the Occultist for powder. Sometimes a sigil is also given after completing a Nightmare Dungeon. Sometimes anywhere from Elites. So, previously a top item required about 170,000 Obducite. Now it is about 2,500. That is 68 times less. At the same time, Obducite farming in T4 Nightmare Dungeons with Strongrooms has decreased by about 2.4 times. From this we get the conclusion. Creating a top item through Masterworking has become about 28 times easier. Anyone who tried to hit the same stat 3 times and spent 30 to 40 minutes doing it will not let me lie. And this happened because Blizzard loves us in its own way. That is everything about the best locations for farming Obducite in Season 12. I hope I did not forget or mix up anything. If I forgot something, write a comment. If I did not forget anything, write that I did well. I will appreciate a like and a subs. Thanks for watching. Bye.